Hey everyone, welcome to our next root building episode. We're currently sitting in Cascade. I wanted to start here just to show you in our last episode. I said I was going to go out onto the DLC and hunt for some buildings to create this steel recycling plant. And I have been able to find some interesting buildings which I think we can use for this area. And so I just wanted to show you that. And then, of course, on the other side here, I'm getting a collection of industries and buildings for industries, I should say. These are textile mills and things of that nature. So we will try to incorporate some of this into Cascade as we continue there. But as I also said in the last episode, today, this episode, and for the next couple of episodes, we're actually going to be going up into Module 1 so that we can update Module 1 and fix some of the errors and problems that I noticed when I was creating some of the episodes for our channel. And so this area here, if you remember, this gray line denotes the southern border of Module 1. And we're just south of McCall. If we come up here, we actually will get over to McCall, which is the last stop on the All Aboard series, which is right here. So where we're going to begin, we're going to go to the top of the layout. And so I'm in the master map. I'm not working in the Module 1, the Module 1 layout that I uploaded to DLS. All the root work I try to do in the master map. So anything I do in Module 1 for the video filming of these episodes, that's all just temporary fixes to make things work or look a little bit better. The actual permanent changes are going to be made to the master map, and when we're finished with Module 1, we will at that point I'll save a Module 1 updated file and we'll delete the rest of the layout off, and there you'll have Module 1. So we're up here now in the Spokane area, and I really didn't have any fixes up here. I have already put in some of the fixes that I noticed when I first started. So I've improved the distance between tracks up here, just so that we don't have when a train passes a signal, the signal's digging into the object. Doesn't look too good. So with that said, we're going to move down the line, and we're just going to keep moving down the line until we get everything fixed. And so I can see, like here, we have a problem. So I'm going to grab this ballast. This is a seasonal ballast, and it is a non-PBR ballast. If I use a PBR, let's find a PBR graphic. I'll show you what it does. If I use a PBR graphic, what it will do is cause problems with the track. Let's see if I can find one. Now that I said that, I can't find one. That's nice. Oh, wait, I just saw something. Okay, so here's a PBR. So if I put a PBR in here, you'll notice that there's all sorts of problems with the track. And if I go in here and try to do this, you'll see that we still have texture that's going over and wiping out the track. And that's not what I want to have happen. So I'm going to remove the texture, and we're going to use this non-PBR texture. And one thing I want to do, I want to play with the scaling, because this is supposed to be ballast. And if you look at this ballast rock looks a little bit bigger than what's supposed to be there. So let's find out, if I do this smaller, does it really do anything? Yeah, it doesn't look like it really does much. So I'm not going to worry about it. It is what it is. It provides a ground cover under the track to help us keep it so the track doesn't get overwritten by the ground textures, and that's the main purpose of it. So just going through, then you have stuff like this where it's looking like the track is raised. Let's see what happens if I do this. Does that fix it? So you'll see that it does fix it for the most part. So we're trying to capture things like that also. The best I can say is that it does this when you use the bulk tool to replace track. It appears that it basically doesn't lay the track down like it did originally. If we actually went out into the 2010 layout, you would find that the track doesn't lift off the ground like that. And that might be fun. I might set up a series where we actually do some train running in the 2010 version of Trainz, so you can see the layout in its original form before this work started. So this looks looking pretty good. And the reason that I finished building this layout in 2010 was because 2010 had an option in it that allowed you to use the older assets. And the reason I wanted that turned on was because all my paint shed rolling stock was created for 2004, Trainz 2004. And my fear was that all that content, all that work that I did, would all of a sudden not be usable on the layout. And as it has turned out, since Paint Shed is not supported any longer, and some of the older models are no longer supported, what we've found is that there's only a few of the Paint Shed rolling stock that actually work. And what I'm going to do is repackage those rolling stock items that do work, and I'll put that up on the DLS so that if you guys want to run any actual Utah and Rocky Mountain rolling stock, it'll be available to you. I am learning how to reskin, because I want to take some of the Trainz Forge models and reskin them to Utah and Rocky Mountain. And of course, because of copyright and licensing on those models, I won't be able to release those into the into the DLS since I did not create those models. I'm not the owner. So if I do any reskinning, it will only be for my own personal use. So now, does that look good? I think it does. So I'm going to leave it there. One of the interesting things when I moved the layout into 2022, a lot of these cliff face textures I was using just simply disappeared. Don't really know the reason for that. But I noticed on some of the episodes that I was recording, there were these dark green areas where there should have been cliff face, and it hit me that all the cliff faces had dropped off. So I was like, nice. So this is one of the major things that I wanted to do, was come in and put the cliff faces back. And then, like when we get down to Coeur d'Alene, there are some track issues that I want to fix that when I redid Coeur d'Alene, I didn't really set up the Mainline the way it was originally. And the more I drive through there, the more it irritates me. And I'm to the point where I just don't like it. So we're going to do a major overhaul in Coeur d'Alene and fix the Mainline. And the other issue I'm having, since this is an old layout that's been ported in, I've noticed that there's a lot of track marks have disappeared on the layout, but they're in the menus. And if you're using the Module 1 layout, you'll notice this, that there are some labels in the track, like the drive to track mark menus, drop menus, that if you try to use them, the train won't go anywhere. And that's because those track marks are missing. And this layout's too big. I can't go through and try to figure out what is missing and what not. So I'm hoping when I go into Coeur d'Alene and we overhaul the Mainline, that basically it'll get rid of some of those menu options, since in theory, the track that they were placed on no longer exists on the layout. So we'll see if that theory works. There. See what we want to do here. I don't know if you can see this. See how it's kind of darker? That's because there used to be rocks here. There we go. I'm going to leave the grass growing because I sort of liked how it looked the other day when I was doing the Clearwater Flyer series, and we were sitting in the passenger car and we passed some of the cliff faces that I had put up on the Module 1 layout. I liked how it looked mixed in with the grass. It really looked, in my mind, natural rather than nice and neat. And you'll notice that a lot with this layout. I did not really make an effort to make the track perfect. What I was modeling is basically a regional railroad that is struggling to make ends meet, basically. So they're not going to have the money to invest in maintenance of way and things of that nature. So it's okay to have the track have problems every once in a while. Let's go here and there we go. See how it fixes it? I stumbled onto that when I first did this route in Trainz 2019, the one that I so efficiently deleted off my system. There were periods of the track work where I couldn't get the ground up to the track, and it didn't hit me until I discovered it, that what was going on was the PBR textures were causing problems. Let's see. I'm gonna pop him down here because I want to be able to get back to him. Oh, that's not what I want. Okay, so that's gotten fixed, and that's gotten fixed. Sometimes it's just not going to work. So go figure. Who knows what this issue is? We'll leave it alone. You know what? I'm going to leave that. That kind of looks different. Have a pile of rocks somewhere. I don't know. Let's go ahead and grab it. Yeah, I see a lot of these. So maybe, which one is this? PBR Cliffs 8. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop doing this. Let's put this all back. And let's get to work on this stuff. It's a little bit more than I was expecting, but that's okay. There we go. There we are. It's all a learning curve. There we are. There we are. Yeah, that looks all right. This is an ongoing effort. It's a living railroad in that sense. So even though we may get it to a point where a version of it gets released, as we move forward, there are a lot of projects that we can do to this layout to put more detail in and make it fun. The initial push was to get the layout built, so I didn't spend a lot of time in detail. And that facilitated the PCs that I was using, which were low-powered PCs. So they really they were laptops. They really weren't designed to run a simulator like this that's graphic intensive. go. Yeah. One area of detail that I want to improve on this layout are the roads. The roads had no attention to detail put to them. In this version of the update, I have started to put utility poles up. But as you can see on this road, there's no utility poles. So that is something that still needs to happen consistently on the layout. I also want to test the road is sitting on top of a PBR graphic, and I think that's why it's raised up off the ground. And so I want to try basically putting a non-PBR texture down to see what that does. Okay, those are sitting on the ground, so we're good. Sometimes it's just simply shadow that's causing that dark line. I changed this bridge. If you remember in Module 1, there's a different bridge here. This just looks like it would support the weight better than the one I had chosen originally. It needed either a post here or something. So the truss would cause the weight in the middle to be transferred to the ends, which is what you want. So that works. We are coming up into Coeur d'Alene. Here's Lake Coeur d'Alene. And we're going to get up here and begin our track work fix. This is where the issue is. The main line should not be these two tracks. The main line should be over here. But this is a spur track, so that's why these are the mains. So what I'm going to do, we're going to rip out all this track, and I'm hoping that that will fix some of the track mark issues on here. So we're going to break it right now. Boom. And we're going to disconnect that. And we're going to disconnect this. So these here, this all needs to be disconnected. Now I'm going to leave this here because we do want this track here to remain. But I am going to go ahead and get rid of the rest of this. There we go. Now we're going to get rid of that. This is our main line here. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. There we go. All right, now. Okay, so that gets us through there. Okay, so there's that. Now this line here is going to come out. So we're going to put a switch in to there. And then over here, we need to be able to get to this line here. So we'll put a switch in right here. It's a little stubby. Yeah, what did I do? I went too far. Okay, so we're gonna put this here. There we go. How does that look? Okay. So there's that. And then let's move this up to here. No. I'm going to do that. And then we're going to take this and we're going to make this go into here. There we go. Now you see this color, you have to play with it to get the procedure to work, the procedural track to work. If that doesn't work, it may be because of the elevation of the track. And that fixed it. So that's what it was. Okay, so now we can continue down. There we go. Yeah, I think I'm going to put something here. There we go. I go to each point here because then I can keep the track elevation the same across. I've found that that usually helps the issue. Might be wondering why the telegraph poles are always over here on the right side. And that was a policy I established at the very beginning. I wanted it so that you could visually tell whether you were headed towards Salt Lake City or not. And so whenever you are headed to Salt Lake City, the telegraph poles will be on your left. And when you're going away from it, like we are currently, then they'll be on your right. So that is the madness. Now this thing here, we can continue down. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it in because this track is starting to come in. So we're going to bring this in here. Get that like that. We'll worry about straightening in a little bit. What I want to do is get this other track in. And we'll see about getting it all fixed. There's this. Okay, so now we're going to come down here like this. There we go. Oh. Don't need that. This Coeur d'Alene area is actually the first module that I built on the layout. And once I finished it, I went, let's see, this is Coeur d'Alene, so I went west on the line and went out to Spokane. And then I, once that was finished, then I started moving down the line to Tencent and then Moscow, and it took a while. And as the layout grew, I had to start figuring out how in the world does one person run a layout this size. And that's the purpose of this channel, actually. We feature this layout. There will be other layouts that I'm going to run on here in operations videos. I'm still trying to figure out which one I want to do. I'm trying to see what is available online and not duplicate. So I know like Microchip is using the CNO Clinton layout, and I don't want to infringe on that. I enjoy his series, by the way. If you haven't watched it, I encourage you to go over and check it out. He does a great job with how he operates that layout. Okay, now we've got the Mainline all set up, and this looks a lot better than it did. So I'm going to straighten this out. We're going to straighten this out. There's no reason for it to be doing that. There we go. There we go. And then it goes down like that. I don't know if we need that. There we go. All right, so let's see if we can't get this thing working here. There we go. I have a problem switch there. There we go. Let's pop that in there. Did that fix it? Nope. And that fixed it. There we go. There we are. There's that. There we go. There we go. And there we are. Alright, wait, I'm going to Control Z that. What I do want to do is get this. There. Okay. Now we need to get our signals here. So I'm going to grab that. And then let's see. This would be appropriate here. And over on this side, you would want the one that's going to force the train to stop. So on your signals, when you don't have this little piece here, this will actually cause the train to stop. That's important, actually. And then on this side, this signifies that even if it's red, the train could move ahead. Okay, so let's see if we can't get this track to be a little nicer. So we'll go over here, we'll go this, and then we'll go over here. There, I think that's it right there. Okay, that's going on there. This goes like that. Let's get rid of that. It goes on like that. And then let's add a track here that goes into here. There we go. That needs to be like that. Now, I want to put direction markers in here to keep the mainline trains from running on this branch, because they seem to like to do that. This is supposed to not be a mainline. We want the trains to stay in this area here. Okay, so now let's get back over here. There we go. Let's move him like that. Move him over like that. Okay, now here we need that. Oh, no, we don't need that one. We need this one because we have a switch coming in. And over here, this would need the left one. So we're going to put that over here. So that accounts for that. And then we can have these two go here. Now here we have again a left turn. So we're going to do that here. And then we can have this guy here. This needs to be stopped. So we're going to put this over here for this guy to protect that. This is going across. So we need to need to put him here. And on this side here. Now this is a right. So those are up here. That would be one of these. So this is a right. And then we have that. This should be a right. Yeah, it is. Okay. So that's that. And then we've got signals there, so we don't need to worry about that. And then this here can be that to get him going. Okay. Now, this should be here. This should be like that. I'm going to make it so that trains stay where we expect them to stay. And that goes there. Okay, so we've got that cleaned up. Now let's go down. Okay, so here's another set of signals. We need that to be here. We need that to be here also. And then on this side, we need this. And then this is a right hand. So that's going to be this one here. And that should do that. And then we'll put this over here. Like that. Okay, so that's that. Now we have some jiggly track here. There we are. I think where the issue is here. This is what needs the straightening. Okay. I still see a little bit of a curve. Yeah. Let's move him out. And then this can be straightened. There's that. All right, now here's another. That needs to be straight. That needs to be straight. Let's see what it did over here. Did that fix this? So that makes that curve a lot nicer. There we go. Here's some more. Some more track. There's that. Yeah, so this doesn't look good at all. Okay, so let's, yeah, so, all right, let's get him straight. I wonder what happens if I take this out. Well, that fixes that right up. There we go. I know it will never be perfect, but it's worth trying to get it as perfect as we can get it. There we go. I guess that goes against what I was saying. This is a poor regional railroad. Okay. I'm going to take this out. Let's take that group out. There. I think I like that better. Okay. There's no signals down in here. Okay, so now let's see what we can do here. There we go. That. Yeah, what's this doing? Yeah, so let's see if we straighten that up. What does that do? Okay, that looks good. Then we have another bunch of let's see what this looks like. Sometimes, yeah, okay, well, I guess that looks all right. Okay, and then we have a little bit of a mess going here. There we are. We could come down here. Now let's fix this, because technically this should be here. And then this should be here. That would be how you'd want to see it, right? now let's bring this back. Okay. There we go. And there we've got it. Okay, so now this signal is no longer correct. It would actually be this signal going this way. And let's move these signals down. Yeah. All right, we'll get rid of these. Let's put these here. Oh, wait. And then we want that one there, because that's got to reflect what's going on here. Yeah, this can, let's get him. What is this? Coeur 164. Coeur 164. 64. Coeur. Okay, so there's that. And there's that. Okay. This guy goes right here. And then, this guy here's the left. So he's gonna go with this, because that's a left. And then this can go here. There it is. That goes here. This goes here. This goes here. Where did he go? Yeah, he was over here. Okay, and then he can go over here like that, and he can go over there. Okay, so that takes care of that. And then he can go over here. Okay, so that takes care of that. That looks a lot better. Let's get over here and there we go. There we go. Da, 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 da. There we go. So that beautifully cleans up this area. Yeah, I want the tracks to show up. So what do we do here? We take this tool and you hold down the shift key, the left shift key, and I can raise the tracks. And then the other way to do this is we can go over here and do advanced, and we can do the same thing with the road. There we go. Let's go that side, and then let's go to this side. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it closer, see if we can get this to work. Yeah, I see why do we have a switch? Oh, I see. I see. There's that. Okay, now we need to realign this road a little bit. So let's move him over. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get him to come up. And we're trying to get him to go down. There. Okay. There we go. Nice. So it's not an equal thing. There. And then we want the crossing. Standard gauge. There we go. There we are. And then the ground all fixed up here. There we go. And then let's grab the signals. Because this here, this is a left hand. So we want a left hand here. And then you want you want that there. Right? Yeah. And then we have that, which is, that's correct. And that's correct. And then I believe, do we have signals here? No, we don't. And that goes there. That is correct. Okay. Okay. We have fixed up during this session Coeur d'Alene. We've cleaned it all up. And let's continue down. This is where we're going to end this episode. And on our next episode, we'll continue our trek down the line, getting cliff faces, we're fixing track issues, and when we get to Trainz, I'm actually going to rebuild the brickyard. I found some really cool buildings on the DLS yesterday, and I want to make use of them. Yeah, I never know what to do with that, but I guess that's all right. We'll let it spill over. Okay, so with that, that's where we're going to end this. I thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned some things. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and hit the bell so that you're notified when these videos are released. And we'll see you on the next root building episode. Bye.